The Zodiac, a card reading. This is Halloween.
The dead do speak. They do not care what you think. Their stories will rattle you to your bones, and here is what they have shown. Of mysteries decades old, here is what the clues have told. Secrets hidden behind a mask. All you need to do is ask. Halloween is drawing near, a time when all souls are here. The dead have a story to tell. Come to know their story well. On October 27th of 1970, this envelope was sent to the San Francisco Chronicle. Inside of it, sorry, no cipher. Why does it say sorry, no cipher? Well, that's because this envelope was sent by the Zodiac Killer. This is one of many, many envelopes that have been sent to the San Francisco Chronicle, as well as the Vallejo Times, several other newspapers. However, this one has come to be known as one of the most infamous, and what it is the Halloween card.
From your secret pal. I feel it in my bones. You ache to know my name, and so I'll clue you in. But then, why spoil the game? Happy Halloween.
Okay, so there's a lot of clues here to unpack. A lot of symbols embedded in this card that have led to a lot of debate over the past 4 decades. Almost 5 decades coming in 2020. Now, what's happened is a lot of people have been caught up in the idea that the card itself is some kind of cipher. That the card's clues are going to be some letters, and that these letters are going to spell out a name. But the front of the card says they'll clue you in, but then says, why spoil the game? What's the game? Well, the game is with people's lives. In this game, they're not going to clue you in on their name. They're going to clue you in on something completely different. They'll throw you off with the ciphers, and here we go. We're going to unpack this. We've got this symbol down here. We've got this one here. And we have the Zodiac signature that they use on all of them. We also have the skeleton wearing this mask. We have the number 14. All of these will look like eyes. They also look like a crescent moon. This thing here may be a tree. This is a topic of debate too. We're going to tell you what this is. So, what do we already know? Given the Zodiac cards from 1969 and earlier in 1970, we know that this symbol right here has already been used to tell us something else. It's not a name. What is it? It's a location. Location, location, location. Now, this became known as the Mount Diablo Code. The Mount Diablo Code was set on a map. You were told the map coupled with this code will tell you where the bomb is set. This is from the bus bomb letter right here. And this one says use radiance to find out where this is going to take you. In our upcoming novel, we'll dissect what the Diablo Code means. We're also going to talk about what Mount Diablo's significance is and some of the places that this code points. Today, however, let's focus on the Halloween card. So let's go back to these symbols. If we were to take this as a location, then what about this? Let's look at it a little closer. Right here. Here it is. If this is a location, where is it? Well, it's California, of course. It's the borderline of California. And each one of these points and each one of these circles is a body of water. This is Pyramid Lake, Walker, Mono, Honey. Over here points to an area, Soda Lake. It also points to an area, Zodiac. Zodiac is interesting. We'll talk about this in the novel more in depth. We'll also talk about the Salton Sea more in depth. There's a lot of lakes here, okay? A lot along this border. But this one, right here, let's go into this a little more in depth. This is Pyramid Lake. It's Pyramid Lake, Nevada. Tell me, does it look familiar at all? I also want you to take note of this pyramid island right here at this time, okay? Could it look like this? Well, absolutely. Look at that. It overlays perfectly. And there's the island, Pyramid Island right there. We'll talk about pyramids more in depth in the novel as well, but this water, we need to talk about the by water. Why is by water significant? Let's turn to the back of the card and talk about that. This is the back of the Halloween card. It says by fire, by gun, by knife, by rope. Now, the connection can be made to something that came out pre-1969, pre-1970, that these references come directly out of. And when did it come out? Well, it came out in 1952. And here it is. In 1952, this comic book came out. Lady Doom and the Death Wheel. You have the by rope, by gun, by knife, by fire, all right there. We also have a red mask. Now, who else is wearing a red mask? Right there. The skeleton is wearing a red mask. What lies behind the mask? By water. By water lies behind the mask. There you go. There's the W. By water. It's the fifth by on this front. Of course, you just saw this. This is more into the comic book. A few pages in, and there's a few others. There's only 5 on the front cover. And behind the red mask is by water. So if it's by water, each of these symbols is the 5th by death. Now, is it a name, a location? What do these locations mean? We'll unpack these more later in the novel. This is just going to explain to you what these symbols in this card refer to, and we'll dissect them more in depth at a later time. But this is perfect. By water. And by water. Okay? You want to look at it a little more in depth? We absolutely can. So let's pull it up. Here we go. Water. Water here. Water here is one of the dots, one of the dots, one of the dots, and one of the dots. Salton Sea is irrefutable. Where's the other leg go to? Well, there's Zodiac. You're like, wait a second, Zodiac isn't a body of water. I don't see any water there. Well, it actually is. It's a natural springs, has a different history. We'll just say that. And Pyramid Lake. Pyramid Lake is perfect. What about the other symbol on the card? Well, there it is. There's another place on the map that fits it perfectly, and that's the 4 corners. There's only one place on the map that fits that. 4 corners in the United States. And then what about the Z that lies in between the California border and the 4 corners? What Z does? Well, Zion. Zion National Park is right there. Also, let's talk about this. So we've already got this symbol is by water. This is Pyramid Lake perfectly. This circle on this point hits Lake Powell, and on this point, it's Navajo Lake. Navajo Lake has its own legends in the Native American tradition, and Lake Powell, well, it's a huge body of water. Both have unique histories, and we'll talk about this circle a little bit more here in a minute, but I want you to see the layout here. There's the first, the Z in the middle, Zion, and circle. There's Zion. And there's 14. So there. Rudimentary view. This map is a 1951 Shell Oil map. Right here underneath. So that's it. 1950s map. It's good to use these maps because they would have been around at the time of the letters being sent to the San Francisco Chronicle. All right, so let's talk about the zodiac sign a little bit more and its location. Okay, so in November of 1969, a letter was sent called the bus bomb letter. On page 6, there was a diagram. This, right here, is the diagram. It had 5 little X's on it. Each one of these is important. We're going to talk about Monticello today, though. In 1971, now this is after the Halloween card, what's called the Monticello letter was purportedly sent to the San Francisco Chronicle. There's a rumor about a card with pasted letters over a picture sent to the San Francisco Chronicle. There's no pictures of this card on the internet, not that I've found anyways, only the information that it said, near Monticello, shot, victims 21, in the woods, dies April. April is a reference to a deeper topic we'll talk about more in the book. There's a lot to unpack in that, but key point here on the location that proves that it's a location that these symbols are pointing to is this Monticello. It lands right on it. Monticello card, and it hits here on the map. We'll talk about this a little more too. So let's look at some other symbols too. How about this? Here we have, it really isn't a stretch to say that this looks like the Greek numeral for 37. We already know that the Zodiac claimed 37 victims. 37 is also the 12th prime. Interestingly enough as well, 37 degrees Celsius is the normal body temperature of human blood. So there's that reference as well. How about the eyes? This part of the card. What about that? So we've already got this, clearly a location, by water reference from the back of the card, referring to the comic book that shows by water. This clears that up. It further proves that it's by water by perfectly overlaying this lake right here, which is Pyramid Lake. Now, Pyramid Lake has a ton of legends around it. It also has a lot of blood spill around the lake. It's a very interesting location in the entire continental US. We got this as the Four Corners, and it links right back into the Monticello card and the bus bomb letter. So we've got 3 things referring back to this. There are more. We're going to talk about those in a second that clear up the zodiac sign as the Four Corners as well. And this red mask, what lies behind the red mask? So we got that too. And now, what about this? Peekaboo, you are doomed. Doomed, huh? Okay. Here. What if it's not eyes at all? Like bites. This is an image of bites from a bulldog. They're perfect. They look just like it. Look, it's even got that tear there in the dark spot. This is someone who was viciously mauled by some dogs, and this is what they look like. So there. It's bites, it's not eyes. And what is the significance of the bulldog? Well, the bulldog is nicknamed the devil dog. In 1969, a song came out called Hey Bulldog by none other than the Beatles. And this is an excerpt of its lyrics. They go like this.
Sheepdog, standing in the rain. Bullfrog, doing it again. Some kind of happiness is measured out in miles. What makes you think you're something special when you smile? Childlike, no one understands. Jackknife in your sweaty hands. Some kind of innocence is measured out in years. You don't know what it's like to listen to your fears.
So those are the lyrics of Hey Bulldog from 1969. Interesting connotations. And you're like, wait, where's the bulldog part of that song? Well, it's right here. Right here. The whole end of the song is Hey Bulldog. Now, let's talk about the bulldog. And its nickname is the devil dog. Also the hounds of hell. I'm going to come back to this slide. If you're caught reading it, we'll be right back. Let's talk about where on the map this matters. Right here. The Devil's Highway has legends around it. This is through the Four Corners. It ends at Monticello. Starts in Gallup. There are the Hounds of Hell legend about the dogs on this highway. Okay? And it's Highway 666. Historical route 666. And there's the Hounds of Hell. This is an excerpt from another article. And there you go. Many individuals have traveled the haunted Highway 666, claim to have been subjected to a pack of vicious, threatening dogs. These dogs are often called the Hounds of Hell. The witnesses claim that these supernatural beasts have the capability of running as fast as a vehicle is able to drive. Okay. Now, what is important about Route 666? We already have the reference, Mount Diablo. Also, Devil's Hole Canyon is really close to Mount Diablo. We've got that reference there. 666, there are only 12 highways in the entire world numbered 666 in the world. Now, the 5 that are in the United States, one, we just showed you. It's on the Four Corners. It's nicknamed the Devil's Highway. Another one with the devil is the Devil's Byway, and that is Ohio. Ohio has some interesting significance linking it into the Zodiac. We'll talk about Ohio more in the book. Right now, I just want to cover some brief points and some numbers that fall in line with all of the clues having to do with Route 666 in Ohio. It starts in Zanesville, ends in Dresden. It has a similar shape to the other one. It started being built in 1937. There's a small unincorporated, so it's unincorporated, village known as Deadman's in the middle. And Deadman's is geographically surrounded by 12 cemeteries. So we've got 14, 37, 12, and 666 all in one location. It's along a river, so it's by water. This will be talked about more in depth later. But let's get back to this this Halloween card. Let's talk about it a little more. All right. So what have we unpacked so far? We've talked about on the left side, these. These are bites from a bulldog. Bulldog links us right back to 666 and links us right back into this location right here. Hounds of Hell in the four corners within the circle of the zodiac. This right here is by water, as well as this hitting points here and here of big lakes. This hits every single one of these points, hits a lake, every single one. This lake being one of the most important, or at least supported by another clue within the Halloween card, being these legs here being Pyramid Lake. Not only is it a reference to Pyramid Lake in its shape, it's in its shape that would be normal in the first place, it's got a perfect pyramid right there. We know that it by water is even more of a reference when we look at the red mask, and what lies behind the mask is by water, lying behind red mask. Again, there we go. We've got by water. And this game, why spoil the game? The game is hiding behind the mask as well, isn't it? And this roulette wheel is a game, and it's a game of death by. It's a game of people's lives. This has been a card reading of the Halloween card sent by the Zodiac Killer. Never before have these symbols, messages, and different clues within this card been revealed in this manner, showing them as locations, not as letters, showing them as places by water, showing them as different areas on the map of the United States. None of this has been put together, yet even though when you look at it, it seems fairly obvious. The red mask, the by water from the 1952 comic, the bulldog bites, the border of California, the Z, the zodiac sign over the four corners, and the different cards that link right back into this. These clues are seen over and over, and they all tell the same message. This is part of a greater work that we've been working on for over 2 years, part of a novel that we'll be publishing before 2020. If you're intrigued and you want to know more, we're going to be answering a lot more bigger questions. We're going to dissect this card in the book with a few more details than what we've shown here today. We're also going to dissect the other zodiac letters, what they mean, and how they're part of a bigger picture that spans across time. What if the zodiac is not a single individual? What if the zodiac is part of a bigger collective that's been operating for over a century? And what if, through all of these clues, we can link it all together perfectly in an irrefutable manner that once you see it, you'll believe it? We hope that you'll stay with us on this journey and look forward to producing more videos and soon a published novel for you to read. Thank you, and see you next time.
The dead do speak, they do not care what you think. Their stories will rattle you to your bones, and here is what they have shown of mysteries decades old. Here is what the clues have told, secrets hidden behind a mask. All you need to do is ask. Halloween is drawing near, a time when all souls are here. The dead have a story to tell, come to know their magic.